What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Studio Series 86 Buzzworthy Bumblebee exclusive Voyager class Ironhide and Deluxe class Prowl 2-pack. Now, as we very quickly check out the packaging, as you guys can see, as an included diorama, we do get the Autobot shuttle, which has kind of been destroyed. I mean, this is the entry point where the Decepticons kind of burst through and pretty much annihilate the Autobots in a matter of seconds. As we come around here to the back of the box, we do get some pretty cool product shots, although I will say I have a lot to discuss in terms of the battle damage and kind of the missed opportunity that this set has, because I think maybe they could have given us a few clean alternate accessories so that we truly could have gotten the most animation accurate versions of these characters to date without the battle damage. But anyway, let's get these guys out here, let's stack them up alongside their original counterparts and see whether or not this set is a pickup or a pass. So, firstly, I thought it'd be kind of cool if we checked out Ironhide, because I'm going to be honest, guys, in terms of an actual mold, I think this is probably one of the best G1 Ironhide figures that Hasbro have ever officially produced. I mean, with maybe the exception of the Masterpiece, this guy's pretty banging, so I was excited to see him reissued in slightly more toon-accurate colours, but gonna be real, I do think this set overall has one massive missed opportunity, and it's that none of these figures include alternate clean pieces. I mean, undeniably, these are the most animation accurately coloured versions of Ironhide and Prowl that we've ever seen released, but it does suck that for basically 2 repaints, they didn't think it would be a good idea to include swappable chest pieces. I mean, how awesome would have it been if you could have swapped this chest unit out with a clean windscreen and given him the original head sculpt that we saw released last year, and the exact same goes for Prowl. I mean, the original 2020 Earthrise figure goes for astronomical prices on the aftermarket, so to now get this version, which is the only real affordable way you're going to get him into the collection, and he's dead, I do just think it kind of sucks, because we have seen in the past with some of the previous Buzzworthy sets Hasbro include alternate pieces, whether it be swappable head sculpts, etc. So yeah, I do think it's kind of a missed opportunity and a bit crap on Hasbro's part. But as we get stuck into the details, you know, all that being said, he does look pretty awesome. I mean, that is such a gruesome looking head sculpt. Check out the expression that we have packed into the mouthpiece, but the chest unit is just so cool. Personally, I've always been a massive fan of when NECA would reissue Terminator figures with kind of the internal endoskeleton visible, and to kind of see the insides of Ironhide, I just think it's so great. I mean, look at that cracked windshield. You can even see where the blast has kind of shot through the chest, and you've got the crumpled, cracked insides. That looks pretty great. And even the chest unit, I mean, look at all the little cracks that we've got going on around this. But besides that, that is pretty much the extent of the new tooling, because he is just a recolor of the original version with one major massive improvement, and that's this time round, he's solid plastic. There are no transparent pieces on this guy at all, which makes the vehicle mode look awesome, which is why I think it is such a massive missed opportunity not to give us a clean windscreen, because come on, who's really going to display a dying version of Ironhide with this cracked ass windshield as a van? You're never going to do it. So yeah, Hasbro definitely went a little cheap in my opinion, but in terms of accessories, he does come packaged with 2 of those iron blasters, so he can try his best to kind of fend off against the Decepticons, and we do get one purple blast effect which can peg into the chest, so yeah, you can recreate his death pretty accurately to the movie, and you know, coupled with that cracked windscreen, it does look pretty dope. But in terms of the articulation, won't really bore you guys too much because it's exactly the same as the original version, but just know that all of the joints are just as great as they were first time round. So yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. Now, as we check out one massive comparison here for Ironhide in robot mode, here we have him stacked up alongside the original 2022 release, and amazing figure, as I said previously. But to kind of go back to my earlier point, Hasbro clearly have this head sculpt and this clean chest unit in their mold, so why didn't they think it was a good idea to include it with this guy? Because undeniably, he does have the more animation accurate deco with the cell shaded blue windows, the yellow strip which you'll see in vehicle mode, and the complete solid plastic pieces. I mean, as we spin this guy around here to the back, I don't think I'm alone in saying that the shade of red on this figure does look way nicer than the shade of red that we've got going on here, and again, you'll see a lot more of that when we check them out in vehicle mode. So yeah, alternate pieces I definitely think is something that we should see more of going forward, especially for figures which are basically just slight retools / minor repaints. And bang! Here we have Ironhide fully transformed into, this time, his incredibly G1 accurately coloured van mode. And for the most part, this thing looks awesome, but to kind of go back to all of the points that I've mentioned previously, what a missed opportunity. I mean, I remember specifically in my original review for the individual Ironhide that came out last year, I said that maybe the reason they never gave us the yellow strip was due to how this all broke up for transformation. Well, more fool me, because it was absolutely possible. It does just show that Hasbro could have done it from the start. Why include it on a battle damage deco version, which no one is really going to display? I mean, come on, who is going to display this van mode with this cracked windshield? You're just not going to do it. So it does just suck that they never gave us this color deco first time round, because with the clean windshield and the more neutral face sculpt, out of 10, this would have been a 10 out of 10 Ironhide figure. But in terms of the detail, you know, it is so badass to see the yellow strip. No ugly color mismatch, because everything here for the top is solid, which is awesome. And another thing which is worth mentioning is the transformation doesn't feel as cringeworthy, because you're no longer dealing with transparent clips. You know, this whole piece was kind of tough to peg on the original version, but now that we're dealing with solid plastic, it's an absolute dream to kind of flip back and forth from. So yeah, you know, in terms of that, again, it does kind of suck, but they did this time around paint the rear window, which is pretty cool. And in terms of a van mode, as I said beforehand, one of the best looking molds that we've gotten for the G1 Ironhide. Now, when I first transformed this guy, I was like, wow, they've gone even cheaper, and decided to only paint half of the window. But this is G1 accurate. For some strange reason, Ironhide in the show did have a half kind of coloured window on the rear, so I guess I can't complain too much. You know, all of the rims are picked out in silver. He still does roll as nice as he did first time round, but yeah, that battle damage windscreen definitely does kind of stick out like a sore thumb in vehicle mode. You can slap the blasters here on the underside to kind of recreate the mufflers, I guess you could say, or peg them here onto the top to kind of give you a battle armored version. I mean, I don't really know what to say about that. And you can also peg the blast effect in here if you wanted to as well. Now, for a comparison, here we have the original version, and as I mentioned previously, this was plagued with quite a few issues due to it mainly consisting of transparent pieces for the windscreen. So, for example, color mismatching was awful on this guy. I mean, for some strange reason, my copy had 2 different tones of red paint, 2 different tones of red plastic, which made no sense at all, which did just look ugly, and also no yellow strip, whereas here with the battle damage version, he has all of the fixes that I would have wanted here from the original release. So why couldn't they have just given us this first time round in a clean version for this guy? It makes absolutely zero sense to me. And it's not even like you can swap pieces between the two, because then you're going to be left with cell shaded windows here for the side, but then transparent pieces here up front. It is just going to look kind of ugly. So undoubtedly, you know, Hasbro, knowing them, they're going to give us a clean version of this guy with animation accurate colors in the future. Why can't they just cut the slack and give us a few swappable pieces here with this 2-pack is beyond me. And look, even the rear window, as I said previously, is painted on the new version, whereas it was unpainted on the first version. So, you know, I'm going to be honest, I do like the way this looks, but I do just think everything about this set screams missed opportunity. It does scream kind of being a little sneaky in terms of the way they are releasing these figures, because they do cost so much now. You know, I don't want 3 different versions of an Ironhide. Just give me the proper version first time round, like they clearly could have with this guy, and let's just call it quits. I don't want to have a battle damage version and a transparent version and then a cell shaded clean version. I just want one. So yeah, it does just kind of suck, but yeah, there's the comparison between these two. So, jumping into the second half of the set, here we have undeniably the most anticipated out of the two. So, this is the Studio Series 86 Prowl. Now, before we go any further, I just want to apologise if it does appear as if though I'm being overly negative in this video. I do just know how difficult this Prowl originally was to pick up as part of the Earthrise 2-pack. So, to see them improve so much with this version in the sense that he now has a way more animation accurate colour deco, they've completely got rid of any transparent pieces, but then they've kind of dropped the ball right at the very end and not giving us swappable alternative clean pieces. I do just think it's kind of crafty, and I do just think kind of sucks. But in terms of the battle damage, what I will say in their defense is that it's nowhere near as in your face as what we saw from Ironhide. So the kind of chunk that we have missing from the front, you know, it's kind of subtle but very nicely detailed. I do like kind of the circuitry that we've got packed into that. Again, it's blast effect compatible, and we do get 2 blast effects with this set, so you can have Ironhide and Prowl dying at exactly the same time. We also get this nice singed effect here for the top, but this piece is clearly intended to be pulled off. So why couldn't we have gotten a clean piece to swap on? Does just baffle me. But in terms of the head design, the head shape, you know, the helmet is way more animation accurate when in comparison to the original version, but he does have that dying expression. I'm kind of glad that they didn't go kind of full dying to the extent where he's got the orange flames pouring out of the eyes and the mouth. So again, slightly more subtle when in comparison to what they could have given us, but very nicely detailed. I do like the grey, you know, the grey here for the torso and the thighs is a massive improvement when in comparison to kind of the black that we saw in the Earthrise release, and gone is the transparent plastic. So much like Ironhide, Brawn, and some of the other Buzzworthy releases, we do see the cell-shaded blue, which in my opinion does look way nicer, and kind of the detail that we've got for the door wings, again, is a lot more animation accurate. Now, in terms of accessories, in addition to the blast effect, we also do get the blaster, which I think is exactly the same as the one that we saw released for Earthrise, and much like Ironhide, I won't bore you guys with the ins and outs of the articulation, but just know for this being what, like the 1000th release of this Datsun mold, the joints still hold up incredibly well. I mean, everything is super sturdy, super tight, and I do believe this is the first time that we're seeing this mold without any transparent plastic, so definitely a great step in the right direction in terms of animated 86 characters, but then a step back in terms of the lack of any alternate pieces. Now, much like Ironhide, we're going to be checking out one major massive comparison. So here we have Studio Series Prowl alongside Earthrise Prowl. And much like I've mentioned previously, way more animation accurate this time around for the Studio Series version. I mean, this guy looked great, but all of the black that you can see here for the hips and the thighs was just way off in comparison to the animation. And the head design, the shape of the head, is way nicer here on the Studio Series release when in comparison to this guy. And as I'm sure you guys can see, the lack of any of the transparent pieces on the Studio Series version, at least in my opinion, does just make this mold not only way more enjoyable to handle because you don't run the risk of anything kind of combusting on itself, but it also, again, it does look way nicer and way more spot on to how he originally appeared back in G1. But like I said with Ironhide, they clearly have this kind of clean chest piece in the mold, so why not just package it in with this guy instead of prolonging the inevitable in giving us a clean version in the future? I do just think, you know, they could have killed two birds here with one stone, but they got to make money, and I guess this is the way they like to do things. And bang! Here we have Studio Series Prowl fully transformed into his vehicle mode. Now, because the battle damage is a little less obvious when in comparison to Ironhide, I do think the alt mode works a little nicer here for Prowl, but still, alternate pieces definitely would have gone amiss, and they have fixed so many issues with this guy when in comparison to the original version. So first of all, the detailing here along the side, way more animation accurate, and the painted solid blue windows look banging. I mean, this is definitely what I hope to see going forward for any Studio Series 86 release, because it does just look way nicer, way more accurate to the series as well. But as we come around here to the back, we do still retain some pretty nice black detail. The light bar is an additional accessory. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in robot mode, so yeah, just know that you can remove this if you want to. You can also slap the blaster here onto the top to kind of create a weaponized form here for Prowl. And for a comparison, here we have him alongside the original version. So yeah, way more animation accurate in terms of the details that they've packed here along the side. And in terms of the transparent plastic, as you can see, the difference is literally night and day. This is way better in my personal opinion when in comparison to this. Would have been nice had he still retained the headlight detail, but you know what? Definitely not too bad at all. And wrapping up on this review for the Studio Series 86 Buzzworthy Bumblebee, Ironhide and Prowl 2-pack. I guess the best way that I can summarise this set is that it seems like they're taking 2 steps forwards, but then like 5 steps backwards, because undeniably these two versions do improve a lot when in comparison to their original mould, such as the noticeable difference of them kind of completely scrapping transparent plastic in favour of solid painted over blue windows, which look terrific. But to see them not include alternate clean pieces, you know, considering that this is essentially just a pack of repaints, I do think it's kind of slack, especially as these box sets are by no stretch of the imagination cheap. You know, they do carry a hefty price tag, and especially in the case of the Studio Series 86 Prowl, considering how elusive the original Earthrise version was, I do think that they either should have just given us a clean version straight away, or as I said previously, included a few alternate pieces. But I'd love to get your opinion down in the comment section below. What do you think of these guys? In terms of a recommendation recommendation, if you're not too fond of kind of the battle damage sculpted areas, then to tell the truth, guys, I would just hold out, because undeniably Hasbro are going to once again make use of that That's a Mold. They will probably give us a clean version of Prowl in a few months, but my biggest issue is that why should we have to pick up these battle damage versions and then fork out an additional price tag to get the clean release when they could just literally kill two birds with one stone and give us that from the get-go. So let me know your thoughts down below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.